Tonight I announce 5 concrete, practical measures a Labor government will implement to ensure older Australians receive the aged care they deserve. 1. Under a Labor government, every aged care facility will be required to have a registered, qualified nurse on site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mr. Speaker, we are going to put the nurses back into nursing homes. This will save thousands of stressful, expensive and ultimately unnecessary trips to hospital emergency departments for issues which a nurse, with all of their skills, could solve on the spot. Because every Australian living in aged care should get the medical attention they need the moment they need it, day or night. This is just common sense and it is common decency. 2, we are going to raise the standard of aged care across the board by ensuring there are more carers who have more time to care. We will mandate that every Australian living in aged care receives a minimum of 215 minutes of care per day as recommended by the Royal Commission. Yeah. That means more care for every resident every day. So if you have a loved one in aged care, you can be certain they will get more time with a registered nurse and more time with enrolled nurses and personal care workers, not just for essential medical treatment, but basic, important things like helping people take a shower, get dressed, eat a meal, and also the time to talk, the chance to have a conversation that isn't about medication or hygiene or a sudden emergency. Some company and human interaction, especially on those days when a family member can't visit. A reminder that our older Australians aren't just a number. They aren't a burden. They are people who built this country, who deserve respect, courtesy and the best possible attention. Yeah. 3, a Labor government I lead will back a real pay rise for aged care workers. Yeah. At the start of this year, the Prime Minister announced a one-off pre-election payment for aged care workers. This week it was reported that over 90% of them, due in March, still haven't received a cent. That is this government in a nutshell. A big announcement, no delivery. Too little, too late. Labor knows that these carers who work long hours doing such important and often back-breaking work are underpaid and undervalued, with some earning as little as $22 an hour. Unlike this Prime Minister, who won't take responsibility, a Labor government won't muck around. We'll support the workers' call for better pay at the Fair Work Commission, and a Labor government will fund the outcome of this case. Because if we want higher standards of care, we need to support higher wages for our carers. We know if we want to recruit and retain more carers to look after a population that's growing older, we need to treat their vital and essential work with respect and reward it with better pay. Number 4 is about better food for residents. A really hard part of growing old and losing some of your independence is not being able to cook for yourself, let alone visitors or family. For most of us, meals are something we look forward to, a daily ritual that brings us together, gives us moments of joy. This makes it all the more outrageous when the food served up to some Australians in aged care is a scandal itself. The interim Royal Commission report found that over half of aged care residents, think about that, over half, we're not getting enough nutrition. They are literally starving. We are going to change that. A Labor government will work with the sector to develop and implement mandatory nutrition standards for aged care homes to ensure that every resident gets good food, tasty and nutritious meals which respect cultural, religious and dietary requirements. And the fifth part of our plan to fix the aged care crisis is about integrity and accountability. Labor will deliver new funding, more staff and better support to the aged care sector. And I'm determined to see that every single dollar of that investment goes to better care for people. We will work with multicultural communities to support culturally appropriate care because we know that many older people revert to the language of their birth in their later years. We will give the Aged Care Safety Commissioner new powers, and we will make residential care providers report in public and in detail what they are spending money on. The days of residents going without decent food and clean clothes will come to an end. Our plan: registered nurses on site 24/7, more carers with more time to care, a pay rise for aged care workers, better food for residents and dollars going to care. That's how a Labor government will solve the crisis in aged care.